To me, this is the most fascinating game of NFL Wildcard Weekend for a bunch of reasons. First off, Carolina is a 10.5 point home playoff underdog. That almost never happens. And while I will agree with the masses that the Rams are a far better team than Carolina, just on paper, this game did happen. On November 30th, LA flew to Carolina and lost to the Panthers by 3. And when you go inside this game, you see that it was actually pretty even. The Rams were a little bit more efficient offensively with their yards per play at 7.4. Carolina was only 5.8. But the first downs were pretty close. The third down efficiency was close. And both teams ran for over 150 yards on the ground. But if you watch that game, and I watched most of it, especially the second half, those 3 fourth down conversions were the difference in this game. Bryce Young made a couple of big throws on those fourth downs. The Carolina Panthers decided that they were going to go for it in all those situations, and they ultimately turned into some points that were the reason Carolina won this game. But it was kind of a unique game for the Rams offense, and even though anytime you average 7.4 yards per play, that's really good. But Matthew Stafford was intercepted 2 times, got sacked twice, and Puka Nacua only had 6 catches for 72 yards, when he otherwise has been ultra efficient. He led all of qualifying wide receivers in yards per route run again this season. And the Rams actually ran it well, but I want to focus on the Rams pass game. Now, it is to the point where I think Puka Nacua is a top 3 wide receiver, and if you say he's the best receiver in football, I will not argue with you. But these are the career stats for Mike Jackson of the Carolina Panthers, who, frankly, has had an all-pro caliber season at outside corner. Now, certainly Sean McVay moves around Puka Nacua a lot, but Mike Jackson is a big physical corner who has 4 interceptions and 19 pass breakups this season. I'm not going to call him the Puka stopper, but he is certainly the type of outside corner alongside J.C. Horn, who's certainly talented in his own right, who can give Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams, who's coming off a hamstring injury, some problems at the intermediate level and down the field. And I want to lastly focus on that guy. Panthers defensive coordinator Ejiro Evero. He is probably the least known branch on the Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan coaching tree. I mean, and some of that is probably because he's a defensive mind, not an offensive coordinator. But if you look below me here, Evero has a long history with Sean McVay, and he even spent that Super Bowl winning season in 2021 with Matthew Stafford. And although the Rams did move the ball pretty well against the Panthers in that late November loss, Stafford probably had his worst game of the season. And that's certainly saying something because he's probably going to win the MVP. So I think the Panthers defensive coordinator that has this intimate knowledge of Sean McVay, how he wants to attack, and Matthew Stafford's tendencies is a key part in the Carolina Panthers keeping this game close into the fourth quarter, which is precisely what I think Carolina needs to do to have a chance to win this game. I still can't believe they are 10.5 point dogs at home. We'll see how this game turns out, and maybe I'm completely wrong and the Rams absolutely roll and they cover that 10.5 point spread. But I do think the playmaking ability of Bryce Young, Carolina's run game, their big-bodied receivers, and potentially that advantage that their defensive coordinator gives them schematically could make this game very interesting to start off NFL Wildcard Weekend.